Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to another early access look at the new route in Train Sim World 4. This is releasing on Tuesday, so we got a little bit of early access courtesy of the DTG Ambassador Program, and this time it is the Long Island Railroad commuter New York to Long Beach, Hempstead and Hicksville. So this is also being called the LIRR version 2, because we do have one version that doesn't include the Long Beach branch. So Long Island Railroad has had the treatment, it's had the TSW4 treatment, it's got the new skies, etc, etc. In fact, let's just read the blurb that we've got here on the right hand side, which says, "Time to truly experience America's busiest commuter railroad in Train Sim World. Return to Long Island and delve deep into an enhanced New York Hicksville. Now including the Long Beach line, new lighting and skies, overhauled signalling, and an all-new bustling timetable, making use of LIRR traction, including the M7 and the brand new M9. So if you've owned the first Long Island Railroad, you'll be used to the M7, but that has been updated as part of this. And of course, we've got the M9, which is the new one. We'll drive a service in that shortly. Also, if you did own the M3 DLC for the first Long Island Railroad, that will layer in to this. I haven't got it on the PC because I'm playing on the PC, of course, because this is early access. It's not available yet on the PS5 for me to be able to show you. But I do have the M3 on the PS5, but not on here. So if you do own that, you will get a few services layered in with the M3. So let's have a look at it, shall we? We'll have a look, as we always do, at what's included. If we just go into it, you can see I've run one service already, just to have a little look at it. I was quite excited just to dive in and see what the differences were. Let's look at the timetable services, shall we? First of all, if we look at the M9, which is the absolutely brand new unit in the game, we got 306 services available for the M9, and we're going to run one of those down from, I think we're going to go from New York Penn down to Long Beach. We're going to do the Long Beach branch because that is the new it's one of the new sections of rail that is part of this version 2, if you will. So we're going to do that. M7, 287 services there for the M7. So between those two, if you just get this route and you've just got these two standard units that come with the route, that's the level of services that you've got. And as I said, if you've got the M3, there are a few other services layered onto that as well. So that's good. Let's go back, and then if we take a look at the scenarios, we've got 2, 4, 6 scenarios, all different lengths. Driving range, that's in the M9. Cutting down, that's 45 minutes, that's also in the M9. Can you dig it? That's in the M9. Hydro City, which involves the M7 and the M9. This Fire, which is in the M7, and Double Duty finally, which is in the M9. So different lengths, from the shortest at 20 minutes up to 1 hour and 10 for the double duty scenario. The double duty scenario actually is the one that was shown on the Dovetail preview stream, where you do actually check the tickets again. Now, a lot of you, when you played the scenario on the Glossop line where you were allowed to check the tickets on the train, a lot of you quite enjoyed that. A lot of you said, nah, I don't know about that. If that becomes a regular feature, I don't know if I'll play it. So this is the second appearance of that type of scenario. So I'd be interested to know what you guys think once you've played that. I'm not going to play that today. I want you to discover that for yourselves, really, once you pick up the route. So, training modules is next. So from that training menu itself, you can see we have got the introduction to the LIRR, which we will do actually before we start the service. So we'll have a look at what the route is all about. And then, very importantly, and I would suggest that you do this if you are not familiar with using safety systems on the first Long Island Railroad, there is a 25-minute introduction to the ATCS and the Axis. I'm going to call it Axis. I can never remember how to pronounce this acronym, but I think it's Access. So forgive me if it isn't Access. I'm going to call it Access rather than say ACSES each time, because that'll get a little bit annoying. So there is that 25 minutes. So if you're worried about the safety systems, let me tell you one thing first. If you're worried about the safety systems, because as part of the licensing for this route, the safety systems are on permanently. You can't turn them off like you could in the first Long Island Railroad. But I would say to you, don't worry about it. If you're thinking, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this, it looks really complicated. Honestly, do it in bits. I will tell you something now. On this route and on the previous Long Island Railroad, I never did quite learn to read the signals. But if you follow what these safety systems are telling you in the cab, and I'll show you how to do that as we go along, then you'll actually find it pretty straightforward. There's a simple rule for it, which we'll look at as we go. But yeah, I can do PZB on the German routes. I can look at the signals. I can read the signals. I don't know by looking at the signals out of the window always what's going on. Now, if I played it a lot, I would pick that up. The other thing I would say to you, as well as doing this tutorial though, is there is a very good manual been released by Dovetail for this, which, if I remember, I will put a link to it in the description below this video. Go and get the PDF manual. Go and study that. There's lots of stuff about the safety systems, the history of the route, how to operate the trains, how the safety systems work. Take that away and have a good read of that, and sort of have it by your side whilst you're driving as well, and you'll find that really useful. So, in the training centre itself, there will be the usual introduction modules for the M7 and the M9. Again, I'm not going to run those today, because they're very similar. If you've run the original Long Island Railroad, they're very, very similar. But what we'll do is we'll start, I think, with the introduction to the route, and then we'll run a service in the M9. So let's get into this and learn a little bit about it. This does release tomorrow, by the way, across all platforms. So let's take a look at what it's all about.
Welcome to Long Beach Station, located in Nassau County, New York. This station was originally built in 1880 as part of the New York and Long Beach Railroad, although it was relocated 1,000 feet north to its present location in 1909 to prevent storm damage from the Atlantic Ocean. There's a missing route map over there. Fix that while you're here.
Right, so we've got a missing route map, so let's do that first. And before we jump on the train, there is something else that I want to show you, which actually I may have already collected, but we'll find out.
There are more tasks to complete. Don't forget to apply the route maps, place no trespassing signs, refill bagel stands, and repair electrical cabinets. Follow the markers to board your train.
Okay, so before we do that, yeah, Matt there in the introduction, he mentioned the other collectibles. You can see I've already been to Atlantic Station. I've already collected that route map, but over here I've also collected this as well. These are the bagel stands that he talked about. So this again is a collectible. So a fairly large collectible for once. Is that the largest collectible we've had in the game? I'm not sure, but there you go. So you can collect that, and then it says 1 out of 25 bagels eaten, it said when I collected that. But anyway, let's get back to what we're actually here for, which is to drive the train. We've got M7s and we've got the M9 there in the centre. Have a walk down the platform. Just squeeze past. I do like, and I always did like, the silver. I love this like sort of metallic silver with these units. Let's talk to our guy. Hey bud, I know it's your first day and all, but we've got a small change of plans. Can you do be a solid? That doesn't make sense, does it? There's a glitch right now. Can you be a solid? Can you do me a favour, should that be? And hitch a ride on this M9 up to Jamaica. I need you to relieve a driver who's coming over from Hicksville. Sure thing, boss. Okay, so let's jump on. So, again, with that little typo, just to bear in mind, as this is early access, I always say it, this is a preview version that I've got on the PC. And at the time of recording, it's quite early. So, it's more than likely there's going to be some updates to this before it releases. So, don't worry too much about things like that.
Available seat in the indicated car.
There we go. It's nice inside, isn't it? Got a bit of leather going on there.
The history of the Long Island Railroad dates back to 1832, making it the oldest railroad in the United States that is still operating under its original name and charter. The railroad went through a period of rapid expansion, competition and incorporation during the 1800s. Various entrepreneurs started to get involved in railroads, each seeing the importance of them in the area. By the late 1800s, the line had come under the directorship of Austin Corbin, who would begin plans to connect the line directly with Manhattan by means of either a tunnel or bridge over the East River. Corbin started negotiating with the Pennsylvania Railroad in 1900 for access to their planned PRR terminal in Manhattan. Later that year, the Pennsylvania Railroad bought a controlling share in the Long Island Railroad for $6 million, around $220 million in today's money. Construction of the East River tunnels started soon after. They officially opened in 1910, connecting the LIRR with Manhattan and the PRR. The LIRR would remain under the ownership of the PRR until 1965, when the state of New York purchased it for $65 million, the equivalent of around $635 million today. This large influx of state money allowed the LIRR to replace its aging stock, some of which have been in use since 1908. This is TrainSim World Long Island Railroad Commuter.
So there's Matt once again dropping the knowledge on the route, as we always look forward to in these first looks. So there's something quite comforting about Matt being the voiceover for these. He's introduced so many of these, hasn't he? I think the first one he did, actually, just as a point of note and a point of interest, was West Somerset Railway. I do remember him. Doing that. So, right, shall we do a service? And we'll have a look at the M9 in some detail, and we'll see how it runs. So, if I just go into this, we'll go into the M9. That's fine. There's the service that I did. I've already been down to Long Beach, but I went from Atlantic Terminal. So I think what we will do this time is go slightly later. We'll do a morning service. And I think we'll do 3806 New York Penn down to Long Beach. And we'll have a look at these safety systems as we go as well. The dynamic weather, shall I leave that on? I'll leave it on. It's starting as clear. I just don't want it to get really foggy. You know, when we're having a first look, that's always the issue that we might run into. But it is April. Do we get lots of fog in April? In the US? I don't know. Anyway, we'll give it a go. Why don't we just give it a go? So, we've got a number of new stations, actually, as part of this Long Beach branch. They are St. Albans, Locust Manor, Laurelton, Rosedale, Valley Stream, Lynbrook, Centre Avenue, East Rockaway, Oceanside, Island Park, Long Beach, and the abandoned Wood Haven, which is actually really quite spooky. I did stop off there on the last service that I ran, and it was pretty spooky. Okay, so shall we look at getting the train set up? So first of all, I'll do a separate video on this as well. just to put in the dovetail tutorial section, just so that anybody that wants it can quickly find it without having to search through this video. But essentially, first of all, we'll put the master key, we'll put the reverser into neutral, and then what we will do is put this into max brake. Now this is, can you see the brakes are charging up? In the old Long Island Railroad, you had to charge the brake yourself when you did that. Now it does it for you. It does it automatically for you. Let's get some lights on. We don't want the marker lights on. Where are the headlights? There's the cab light. Gauge lights. Let's have doors on high, shall we? Headlights are down here. I think we'll have doors on bright. And yeah, safety systems are on, as I mentioned. So there's not a lot we need to do now. We're not actually... Let's just take a look outside. We're not actually picking up any passengers here. Just be an empty stop move. It's not asking me to pick passengers up. So it is a run all the way down. So that'd be good. We get a good look at what's going on. There's people waiting. Look, you know, they want to go to Long Beach, but they can't. Shall we have a look at the schedule? Yeah, straight to Long Beach. There you are. So this is a good one. So, let's go. First of all, before we set off, just a note about the safety systems. You can see here that we've got a 15 coming out of New York Penn. So we'll keep our eye on that as it changes. Look up in the top right. In the minimal HUD, you can see we've got a 60 coming up, but we'll talk about that once we start seeing the. Doesn't help if I put it in emergency, does it? We'll talk about the speeds once we get going. Let's put the reverser into forwards. Now I've got to, of course, charge the brakes back up. So to do that, because I had an emergency brake, put it back in max brake. You can see the brakes charging up. Right, now we're ready to go. So let's take the brakes off. Minimum power. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Sorry, one other thing. And this is new. So let me explain this to you. So train number. Okay, our train number is 3806. So if you want to find out what your train number is and you've forgotten, if you just come up into here, then you can see there at the top, we are train 3806. Okay, so back here, all this is interactive. So what we need to do is come to the screen, and if I just put in here 3806, just press OK. It changes it there to 3806, and then what it'll do, it takes a couple of minutes, but what it'll do is it'll change the onboard information system. There it goes. It's loading the route now, as you can see. So you can do this every time. Let's have a look outside what it's telling us. That's the alerter, by the way, that's going off. So at the moment, the PIS is blank, but what it should do is change once it's had a think about it. So we can set off, then we're not going to be late. But you can see destination. Next is Penn Station. Right, that doesn't sound quite right. We're at Penn Station, aren't we? Let's just have a look what it's saying outside. Oh, destination Penn Station, and we're at Penn Station. That's not quite right, is it? Unless that means the next stop. Right, let's just see. Let's just see when we get going, shall we? We spent enough time dilly-dallying. Let's get some power on. It definitely tells us we're going to Long Beach. So let's keep it under 15 as we leave. It's a very slow sort of journey, really, out of New York Penn. Atlantic Terminal is the worst. I think Atlantic Terminal is about 5 miles per hour, and it lasts for a long time. This isn't as bad. Also depends, you know, how long your train is as well. because of course you do have to, that's the alerter, you do have to, once you get to the speed board, let the rear of the train pass the speed board to be able to accelerate. You can see now that we are being told 80 on the ATC right in front of us, but our actual speed is 15. So the rule I was telling you about, if you're not used to these safety systems, of all the speeds that it's showing you, always go for the lower number. So it's telling us 80, but what it's doing now is it's telling us it's going to be 80. As soon as the back of the train goes past the 80 board, the speed on the top in the hood will change as well. It's telling us 60 now. So we can speed up to 60. So let's just see what happens. Always take the lower of the speeds and you'll be fine with the safety systems. Start with it like that and then start to gradually learn a little bit more about it. You should be able to keep the train going. I can understand why a lot of players are worried about safety systems being on. I know some of you don't use safety systems at all, or it depends whether or not, you know, sometimes in the UK DLCs you've learned how to use that, and so you always have the safety systems on for a bit of immersion. A lot of people have not learnt PZB, so they switch them off when they're in Germany. But I've said it before, it does add a completely different experience immersion wise. So if you can play with them on, play with the safety systems on wherever you can. But there's no, you don't need to. There's no, apart from this route, there's no need to do that. You can play it how you like. But you can't turn them off. There used to be in the old M7, there was a panel up here. In fact, you can see that it's been blocked out. The fuse panel was there, and you used to be able to switch them on and off on the back of the fuse panel. You can't do that now. So we got, let's acknowledge that, we got Long Beach is in 19 miles, and if I bring up the map, so we are coming along here. And this is the branch. This is the Long Island branch, which is new, and that's where we're going down today. So another 19 miles to go. I keep calling it Long Island branch. It's not. It's Long Beach branch, of course. There's too many longs in this DLC. So I have let the speed drop. I'm just going to put some more power in. One thing about having the safety systems on is that you might find that you spend a lot more time in this driver's position than you normally would. I like to be in the driver's position, but I also like to be in the outside camera as well to get a good look at what's going on outside. I do quite enjoy doing that. I think having the safety systems on, unfortunately, will mean that you're in the cab a little bit more. Although you should still be able to hear the safety systems alerting you from outside. I know some of you purely play it from the driver's position and very rarely go outside. That's also fine. Okay, so we're good up to 60. We do have a 45 coming up. Now, you can anticipate that a little bit. So it's telling us we're overspeeding. So put the brakes on, acknowledge that, and get yourself down. So it's asking us to go to 40. So I'm assuming that is an approach signal, because we're coming up to a station, I believe. We're not stopping, but again, always take the lower of the speeds. So you can see on the display we've got a 60, but we've got a 40, so take the 40. I know that's not a very technical explanation, but if you do the training, the 25-minute training module, you'll see what I mean. Always take the lower speed. I think that 40, I think that is route learning. I don't believe there was a track sign that told me it was going to 40. So that is route learning. So now you see we've got 3 speeds. Up in the top left, we've got 45 miles per hour. And then down on the dashboard, we've got a 40 and a 60. So again, take the 40. Always the lowest. So we'll speed up to 40. You see the top one's now changed. We've got a 70 and a 60. Now, go for the 60. The 60 is the fastest that we can do. So we've got ATC on the dashboard. ATC is the 70. Axis is the 60. So always go for the lowest. And as we leave New York Penn, let's have a quick look. We've got the city of New York there in the background, which is quite nice. We've only got 1 tone of horn. And the good thing is there's no bell. So, as we approach the 60, let's just coast. So this area of the track, if you own the first Long Island Railroad, you'll be familiar with this section. But as I said at the beginning, it has had the TSW4 treatment. That's Woodside. All the screen, by the way, it's all, you know, it's all interactive. So you can see the interior lighting. You can do all that. You can look at the brake pipe pressure. And all this is explained in the manual. So everything that you see in this screen, you can. There's even a trouble screen. It'll show you any problems, any faults that the train has got. You don't have to do anything with those faults. They're just there for information only, just for your immersion. But yeah, have a look at the manual. That is really important. So again, we need to stay at 60, but we should shortly be going to 70 once the back of the train clears that speed board. So we've got 80, 80, 70. Let's do that. Oh, we got the fog. Look, I knew the fog would come. It doesn't matter what season you pick, it's foggy. With the dynamic weather. It's fine though. It's fine. It won't last forever. So, all the speeds in the cab are showing 80 now, as you can see. So let's speed up to 80. This actually, the first Long Island Railroad was one of my favourite routes when it came out. I do believe it came out, I want to say it was just before Christmas. It was definitely December 2018. And back then, I played it on the PS4. And I spent hours and hours playing it. I really enjoyed it. It was something different for me, because before Train Sim World, I didn't know anything about US trains. I had travelled up to Hartsdale, out of New York up to Hartsdale, which is in the that's in the Harlem DLC. And I've been on that route, but I didn't pay much attention at the time. And so once I got into this and I learned how to drive these trains, I was fascinated by it. and it's a pity we can't have more of these. I would definitely like more of this. I like how they've reworked this route. It's a little bit. I know it's a little bit controversial with some players because we've already got a Long Island Railroad. However, it's down to you guys just to make your minds up, really, as to if you think it warrants the buying of this one versus the other. And that's why I'll be showing this today in this video. The other ambassadors will also be showing you. It's down to your choice, really. There is, of course, don't forget, Dovetail did the stream last Thursday. So if you go back to Dovetail's YouTube channel, you'll find the stream that they did there, where Matt was driving. So there's a lot of local knowledge there from Brandon. If you want to watch that, if you didn't see that. But today I'm just here purely for the driving and just to see how it runs and how it plays, etc. Right, so I'm overspeeding. I need to get down to 70. So again, put it in brake and then acknowledge it. As long as you're braking, you can acknowledge it and you won't get an emergency brake. I think you get about 30 seconds to do that, you know. It's 30 seconds. And I'm saying I think you do because I haven't tested it. But you certainly get a while. So I'm overspeeding again. Put it in brake. It wants me to get down to 40, as you can see on the panel. So we'll do that. There we are, now at 40, so we're all good. And we will soon get another speed change. You can see up in the top right hand side, we have got a 20 and a 15 coming up. So it's going to 30 first. So this is the approach. So it takes us down in steps. So you keep your eye on the center panel. So we need to be 30 or under just at the moment. Again, we're taking the lowest speed. So we're overspeeding. It wants us to go to 20 as we expected. So I could have anticipated that and got down to 20 already, but I wanted to show you that. So currently we're at 15. We will anticipate this one. So we'll stay at 15. And you can just see what happens on the screen in the center. You see, at this point, that's for the 15. You would see at this point, I would like to be outside the cab really and show you a little bit of what's coming up, but there's a lot going on with the signalling. That's because we ran over the 15 down the hill. So this is Jamaica. So a lot of you will already be familiar with this, and then we're going to branch off to the right just after Jamaica, and we are going to carry on down to Long Beach, which is another 11 miles away. This is good. We've got traffic going out. There's an M7 there just leaving. And the fog has lifted. It's in the process of lifting anyway, so that's good. Keeping it under the 15. A long old train there on the left. So you can see that train ahead of us is probably going off to Hicksville, which again is, if you look, Hicksville is all the way up here. Could be going to Hicksville. So again, from the original Long Island Railroad, you'll remember that. There's plenty of traffic on this route as well, I will say. That's definitely been improved from the original. Lots of stuff going in and out of Jamaica. The skyline's improved as well around here, definitely. Let's just coast down this hill, shall we? So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do in the cab whilst you're driving. It's not just to cruise along by any means, but it's good fun. It keeps you on your toes. You could see from the list of services, there are services of over an hour. There are some, 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So, you can just jump in and, play for as long as you like, really. There's something in there that you could run. Still at 15 for now. See in the centre, it's saying that we will be going to an 80. But not yet, because remember the golden rule? We're staying on the lowest speed we can see, which is 15. So, let's do that. Have a look at our train from the outside. Like an 8 car, I think. Right, so as you can see, all the speeds are aligned to 80 now. Now the back of the train has passed there, so we can speed up to 80, but we do have a 60 coming up. So let's do that. Acceleration is very good in this M9. So I'm just looking in the manual actually now about this M9, and it was introduced into service in September 2019. They're quite new, aren't they, really? Quite modern. Let's anticipate this 60, shall we? We're already doing 61, 60, so there we go. So it should tell us to go to 60. Let's just test it. There we go. So there we are. It's saying 60 now is your maximum speed, so we already anticipated that. So these M9s are originally intended to replace the M3. If you played with the M3 in the first Long Island Railroad, you'll realise they were a little bit older. Again, I haven't got it installed on the PC, so you haven't been able to see it running up and down anywhere in this run. But let's make sure we stay to 60 until the back of the train clears the 80. There we go. Now we can do 80. But yeah, you will see the M3 going up and down as well. But mainly now it's the M9s and the M7s. And it says, while the M9's time on the Long Island Railroad is still in its infancy, the M9 is continually entering service as of early 2024. So they're getting new ones all the time. And then the M3s will be fully replaced. And it says, along with the M1. I'm not familiar with the M1. But the M1 has gone to the history books, it says. Make sure we stay under 60, which is, again, the lowest of the speeds that we're being given. $3,200 horsepower they are. Top speed of 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour. The service speed is 80 miles per hour, which is 130 kilometers per hour. So we have had a chance to get up to 80, as we should be now, actually. So that's the maximum speed on this line, 80. Door controls, by the way, we're obviously not doing any passenger stops. But the door controls are up here. They used to be behind. They used to be sort of in this panel in the M7. But they're up here now for the right hand side doors. Actually up there at the top. For the left hand doors, they are there. So if you prefer to actually press the buttons. And you see what I mean? If you don't keep your eye on what's going on. We need to be under 60, so we're alright. Yeah, so if you prefer to use the buttons to open the doors, then that's where they are located for the two sides. Right hand side up there, left hand side over there. I must admit, because I play on a controller, and that's because, you know, primarily I've always been a PlayStation player on TSW. I tend to use the D-pad to open and close the doors. It's just habit, really. I still play this on the PC as if I'm playing it on the console. So I've got an Xbox controller right now, which works perfectly fine. If I'm playing Train Sim Classic, I play it with the keyboard. But on TSW on the PC, I'm using the Xbox controller. It's just habit, really. I don't need to relearn anything. You know, between the two, the console and the PC. Right, so how are we doing? We've got 6.7 miles. I'll just quickly flick the map up. You can see where we are. We're coming down to here. Long Beach is down here. The entry into Long Beach is quite slow once we get across the river, but we'll take a look at that once we get there. It's very nice though. I did take a couple of screenshots when I was playing this last night. Actually, I may end up using one of those as the thumbnail. So you may recognise that. But what do you think of the skies? The skies look pretty good. It's quite overcast at the moment, isn't it? An overcast April day it is. Do you guys run with the dynamic weather on all the time, or do you tend to take it off? I must admit, I usually leave it on. I click through and just play whatever it gives me. But I should learn probably on these first looks to just let me get the speed down. Speed needs to be down to 40. There we go. For these first looks, I probably should really show it you in sun. Although, dynamic weather is an important part of TSW. So really leaving it on and being able to show you the changes in the weather, depending what month of the year it is, that's also important as well, isn't it? Right, so we're down to 30, so we're approaching in the approach mode. So let's keep it under 30. So we could have something ahead of us. This is where this signalling comes in, the in-cab signalling. Because you can see up in the top right there, if you're cheating and looking at the hood at the top, you would think nothing is untoward up there, but the in-cab signalling can sort of slow you down on an approach in steps like this. And that was particularly useful, wasn't it, on the Harlem DLC? On this as well, on this one, like in the Harlem, you can have trains on the same tracks. You see, it slowed us down to come across the front of this one. You don't want to be hurtling down with this in front of you. Right, so our max speed is still 30 until the back of the train clears that junction. And we can move up to 45, which is good. Right, so we should be able to go up to an 80 soon once the back of the train clears it, but we do have a 60 coming up, so I'll keep the speed down. We're only going to need to change it again. So there you can see we are permitted to go 80 now. All the speeds are aligned. Let's keep it under 60. There's the warning for the 60. So it's fairly straightforward to use. I personally, as I said right at the beginning, I would personally like to learn to read the signals better. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on. Using the safety systems themselves and watching what it tells you in the cab is fairly straightforward when you've done a couple of runs, I would say. Just a couple of runs. If you get into an emergency brake, oh, shall we try it? Shall we speed above 60 if we can? Let's just see what happens. And then we'll look at what happens if you reset it. Right, so if I don't acknowledge now. So it is all going off. If I don't acknowledge the alerter, we get the emergency brake. So let's just acknowledge. Then what we should do really is put that into. Let's take the power off first, and then put the reverser into neutral. Then what we need to do is just charge the brakes again. They're over on left. So all you do is put it into max brake. Put it in max brake. It's quite easy to get it in emergency. See the brakes going up again. So the brakes are charging up, and then we just need to put the reverser back into forward. Release the brake. The wrong way and put it in emergency. Let's release the brake. Wait a minute. Let's put it in max brake. Let's charge it up. See, it's charging up. If you put it in emergency by accident, put it back to max brake every time. There we go. So it's charged up. Now, if I take the brakes off, when we put the power on, there we are. We're off again. So, yeah, if you get an emergency brake, if you miss a safety system, if you miss a safety warning and you do come to a stop, right, take the power off, put it in max brake, put it in neutral, let the brakes charge up, put it back into forwards, release the brakes, and off you go. That's all you need to do. So it is, although the safety systems are on all the time, if it stops you, don't worry about it. It's quite easy. I'll put a separate video out about that when I'm doing it properly, let's say, without the confusion. If you try and follow what I just did, it's probably confusing. But if I put out a little couple of minutes video on how to recover from emergency stop, I think pretty much it's the same for the M9 as it is for the M7. Same procedure. So I will do that. Right. So back on track again. 4.6 miles down to Long Beach. Maximum permitted speed at the moment is 40. This is the thing about TSW or any kind of simulator. The thing to do is just try it. Don't be scared to come to a stop, or it's what we've always said, isn't it, on this channel about PZB. If you want to give it a try, giving it a try is better than not giving it a try because you're worried about it. Just give it a go. Watch what other people do, because remember, an emergency brake in any train is part of operating a train. Coming to an emergency stop is a legit part of driving a train. That's what it's there for. It's part of the procedure. You try to avoid it, but as long as you know if you do get an emergency brake, you can come to a stop safely and then you can carry on again, then give it a go. Give it a go. That's what I would say. Four miles now down to Long Beach. How are we doing? So 40 miles per hour is our max speed. It's good fun, this route. I like these routes where we come through towns and cities like this, quite close in to towns and cities. I quite like that. Got a US flag there. Not a very windy day today, looks like. There's another bagel stall that you can collect. I suspect there's an achievement. I haven't checked, but I suspect there's an achievement actually for getting all the collectibles. Right, 40 is our max speed. So don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know if you're going to pick this up. Have you pre-ordered if you're on PC? Because there was a pre-order for this on PC. But once I get to run this on console as well, for all you players out there that are on console, I will let you know how it is on console. I think the current gen consoles, so the Series X and the PS5, have got a bigger timetable than the PS4 and standard Xbox, as I understand it from the preview stream. So just keep that in mind. Just have a read of the description first before you pick it up. Don't want any of you to be disappointed. But I think it'll still be quite a meaty timetable, to be honest. So we're cleared to 60. So all this is all new in this DLC, all this branch. Let's get the speed down to 40. So again, brakes on, acknowledge the warning and get yourself down. There we go. Yeah, this is all new. What I need to do on this route is get used to the feet. I'm not used to feet. You see, we're counting down there 9,500 feet. I'm not used to that personally. But I'm sure it'll come eventually. But yeah, do tell me what you think. I'd like to know what you guys think of this. Did you enjoy the first Long Island Railroad? I know a lot of US players have been looking forward to something else that is US related for some time. But is this what you wanted? Do you think this warrants? Is there enough extra in this to warrant a new route for Long Island Railroad? Although I've played Long Island, as I mentioned, quite a lot, I don't know it in real life. I've never travelled on it in real life, so I don't know. For example, you know how accurate it is to real life, or whether anybody that lives near the Long Island Railroad is actually quite excited. You know, like I was for Blackpool Branches, for example, which is my local route. I'd be interested to hear from you guys. I know there's quite a few of you. Okay, so this section you've really got to keep your eye on the speeds. As you can see there, it wants to be down to a 30. And just on this bridge coming up is where eventually you will unlock the mastery for this route. We'll take a very quick look. This is the river I was telling you about. Let's get down to 15. We've got a 5 coming up as well. So it is quite slow. But yeah, this here is quite nice. Quite like this area. I've took a few screenshots of this. We've got the yachts out there. But we've got the coastline out there. Again, I'm not familiar with the area at all. So this is the mastery tile. It lets you get in through that doorway and up into this control room here for the bridge. But just on the other side of this bridge, you've got to drop down to 5 miles per hour. It's very slow into Long Beach Station. But essentially, I hope you've enjoyed this little look at it early. And I'm interested to know, do these little first looks in early access help you out a little bit more to make a decision on buying a route or a DLC? Or do you use them as just, you know, a way to have another look before you pick it up? You know, you've already committed, you're buying it anyway, so you just thought, oh, I'll just have another look at it. We'll watch somebody else's opinion of it. Because that's all good feedback. Right, so this is 5 miles per hour. This is very slow. Also a slightly downward gradient as well. But this M9 though, nice and modern, you know, nice looking. We had a quick look inside it during the introduction, the route introduction. I quite like it. Don't know what this does. I'm not really familiar with what this actually does. There's obviously a slight problem, a slight problem with the PIS on this build at the moment because we came from Penn Station, but we're actually coming to Long Beach, so that should be Long Beach. Although it could be because this isn't. Oh, we got passengers. Where did we get those guys from? Where did they come from? I thought we were taking empty stock. Maybe we weren't. Were those passengers already on when we left? I don't know. Again, it's a dev build. And it's a very early dev build as well. So So 1,000 feet away is our stop marker. Sounds like an M7 leaving us. And you can instantly tell the difference from the side because the delivery on the side. You see, we got these stripes down the side, which the M7 doesn't have. These also, to me, look a lot cleaner. With these being new, look at the M7 on the side there. They're quite dirty at the side. Oh wow! Look at that. We've been routed into the wrong place. Unless I was meant to do that, right? Okay. Well, that's interesting. I thought we were under some kind of signal control there. So let's have a quick look at the map. We'll just see what happened with that. So we are indeed meant to be... Right, okay, well, let's back it up. Why don't we give it a try? I did not notice that at all. So, are we in reverse? Right, let's... there we are. We need to put it in at least 60% power for it to move as well, it seems. Let's just coast. And we'll get ourselves into the right platform. Now, that's the thing. So I'm thinking, so this service, if this is not a passenger service, I'm a bit confused, to be honest. I don't know if this is a passenger service or not. Because look, the platform, the place where we're going to doesn't have a platform, if you look. So I think we were just taking empty stock. So it's a bit confusing that there are passengers on this one. We haven't picked anybody up. We didn't open the doors when we left New York. So, somewhere, something's happened. But that's fine. Let's pull across this. Now, is this a signal that I... Is this a junction that I can change? Yeah, it is. There it is. So, I can change that. So, I'm going to do it. Now, it could be on this type of service... an empty stock service that isn't an empty stock service. Maybe I am meant to change this. There's just no there's no instruction to do so, was there? So let's go into the map. We can sort this out. As long as we can sort it out, we're good. So we'll change that one. I'll just get rid of that alerter. Oh my word. Oh dear me. I don't know what happened then. I don't know what happened. We were nearly there though, weren't we? Changing the points derailed me. Oh, God. Did I leave the brakes on or not? Was I rolling forward as I tried to... maybe I was rolling forward as I tried to change the points. In which case, then yeah, I would fly off. Anyway, I hope you guys had a very good look at the route. We didn't quite get to Long Beach, did we? But we were nearly there. I thought you had fun along the way anyway. And as I said, I don't know if I did something wrong there or if it was wrong. It's a dev build. It's a very early dev build. So don't worry too much. Once it's in your hands, it'll be a different beast. Yeah, leave me some feedback. Let me know what you thought. As always, thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for subscribing. And thank you to all our members as well. Take care, everybody. And I will see you in the next one. Enjoy Long Island Railroad version 2. Bye for now.